Talking all things entertainment, this is Sherri Pullum in the studio with Dreamers Unite. How to buy your dream home with real estate and mortgage and financing expert, Gail Allen. Hey Dreamers, and welcome to In the Studio with Dreamers Unite. Well, whether this is your first time or you're joining again, I am always grateful and honored every time you come here to this channel to spend time with me. So listen, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Why wait? We really could use your support here on the channel. So hit the subscribe button because you know this is a community where we dream, share, and manifest. We're not just talking about dreaming out in the sky, dreamers. We're talking about how do we make those dreams come true. And so today, speaking of making dreams come true, well, you are in for a treat because we are going to be talking real estate with some jazz. You're wondering, right? How are we going to do that? Well, Gail Allen is here, and she is a realtor and a financial mortgage expert for over 30 years in the business. So she's going to share her insights in entrepreneurship, in real estate, and we're also going to talk about her jazz singing journey. I am so excited, Gail, to have you here. Thank you so much for coming to Dreamers Unite. So welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Well, listen, the first question is, are you a jazz singer realtor or a realtor jazz singer?
Actually, I am a jazz singer, realtor, and a realtor jazz singer.
I love it.
Okay. I don't think you can ever stop singing. Singing is something that is inside of you. It's a part of me. It's like breathing. So it's something I do when I'm alone, when I'm very happy, when I'm feeling kind of low, it lifts me up. I believe singing is a gift from God.
I do too, and I know you must have a beautiful, beautiful voice. How did you start off in jazz? How did you start off singing?
Well, I have an uncle. He would come by and he would give me jazz records. I would say, "Oh, I heard Mike Douglas, and he was singing this song by Gershwin." And I'm learning the lyrics. I got to find the lyrics. And he would say, "Oh, you know, Mike Douglas is all right, but that's not jazz." He would say, "Now you got to listen to Dinah Washington. You've got to listen to Count Basie, and, Nancy Wilson." And so he got me started with that.
Yeah, the real deal.
The real deal.
Yeah, and so you sang with some jazz greats. Like we talked about it a little bit offline. We had a great conversation. And you sang with the Shirelles.
Yes, I did. Rock and roll group. And they were the first rock and roll girl group to cross over, black group to cross over, and to be known throughout the world. They had so many hits. Mama Said, "Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow?" So it was a pleasure. And that was my cousin that actually brought me into the group for 6-7 years.
Wow. And what was that like with some of your experiences there?
Well, it was wonderful. I met a lot of great people. The Four Tops, I met Martha and the Vandellas. I met so many nice people. And I remember I wanted to meet Leslie Gore. You remember It's My Party? And
Okay.
551. I loved her music so much. And I found out she was a writer, she and her brother. So I met her on the airplane. And I said, "Would you mind if we chit-chat?" She said, "Sure, sit down." And what she loved to talk about was what? Real estate. And we had a great conversation. So I met a lot of great people on the road.
Amazing. Well, speaking of real estate, so we're going to transition into what you're doing now. And, well, you're still singing, too. You're still singing. But your business, what you're doing right now, how did you enter the world of real estate?
I originally wanted to be an artist, a painter, graphic designer, and I did art illustrations. And then one day while coming home, I realized that there's these signs that you see on the street, and it says "house for sale." And I thought, maybe I would like doing something like that. And my grandmother passed away in Toledo, Ohio. I was living in New Jersey, and I needed to go out and settle her estate. So when I get to Toledo, Ohio, I realized I've got this house. I didn't want it. None of my relatives wanted the house. I was living in and had a good life in New Jersey. I didn't want to move to Toledo, Ohio. Nothing wrong with Toledo, Ohio. I just didn't want to go out there to live. So how was I going to sell this house? And with the quickness, as the kids would say. Well, my father and I, we started what you call the house sale, where you put an ad in the paper and you say, we're selling the items in the house for the estate. And I had two women walk in. They were sisters, and they were retiring. And one said to me, is the kitchen table for sale? I said, yeah. What about the dining room? What about the living room? I said, oh, this is for sale. You can buy anything you want. And she said, what about the stove? And I started thinking to myself, wait a minute, I may have a sale here. And she said, I said, the stove is for sale. She said, what about the house? I said, you can buy the house if you want. And that was my first deal. And I was not even in my 30s, my first deal. She said to me, Gail, I'm going to retire in about maybe 2 years. I don't have a lump sum for a down payment, but I can afford to pay you every month for 2 years if you let me buy the house. I said, that's a deal to me. So I went to the attorney. He didn't like it. I loved it. She paid me every month for 2 years. And then when she retired, she gave me a lump sum. And that's what's known as a seller take back. And I've used it all of my life. And I think it's what's going to help a lot of people get into property ownership now, because interest rates are so high. Interest rates haven't been this high since 2000, year 2000. So right about now today, they're hovering around 8%, 8.25%. If you're really, really lucky, you have a high FICO score, you may see something like maybe 7.5 or 7 3/8.
And that's still high.
That's still high.
Yeah, that's
but
still
I
high.
think people really need, first-time home buyers, there should be some type of way that they can now purchase property and receive help from the seller of the property. That is, the seller can take back a second mortgage, which may not be payable for, let's say, 4 or 5 years. Someone would say, well, wait a minute, 4 or 5 years, but you got to remember this. You only pay taxes on what you receive at the closing. So if the seller can say, you know, in 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 years, I'm getting a small lump sum, maybe $20,000, maybe $25,000 from the buyer, someone who purchased my property, maybe I can live with that, you know. Maybe I can use that as a write-off, you know. So we need programs to help people buy in this market, in this high interest rate market. Prices have soared in real estate property. A house that you would have paid $350 for, you're looking at $600,000 now. And I'm talking about a typical 3-bedroom, 2-bath home.
And so what I want to ask you about, as you say, like prices soaring, right? It used to be, right, location, location, location. Is that still really so much? Is that really what's important now? It's just location, location, location?
Location, location, and location's location. Why? Because this is what allows property to be in demand. If you're close to New York, okay, if you're close to Philadelphia, if you're close to Los Angeles, or if you're close to Newark and you have access to New York, the location of the property, the schools are within that neighborhood are very important to parents with young children going to public school. That's very important. So yeah, it's still, and I believe it will always be location, location. And proof of that is if you go south of Bergen County, South Jersey, you're going to find that homes are selling for a lot less.
Is that a good time for people to invest in those areas?
I would think so. I would think so. I think any time that you can invest in real estate that you can actually afford to do so is a good time, even in a high interest rate market. At the same time, I frown against, or I discourage people from competing or going into a bidding war simply because you're trying to get property and you've got 10 other people ahead of you, because that's how you get in trouble when you overpay for property, and all you need is to have maybe a few months of no work, or you're out of work because of an illness and you can't catch up, so it pays to stay within what's affordable to you.
Yeah, and also you can end up being upside down, right? So as prices may shift
Absolutely.
and vary, right?
Absolutely.
Because that's what happened too with the ballooning. I was a realtor for a short period of time. I say short period, but it was like maybe 5 or 6 years, so it wasn't super short.
Then you know about the market.
I know about the market, and I came in the market when everybody was overpaying. I mean, like substantially overpaying. Like the house could go on the market in 2 hours, not even sometimes 2 hours. It was like an hour. It could even be 15 minutes later.
Yes.
It was like in a bidding war.
Yes.
And it was just like the realtor's kind of nightmare,
Yes.
right?
Yes, it is.
So you don't suggest people do that. But in this market now, what do you suggest? There's a lot of dreamers. They're dreaming of buying their first home. What do you recommend?
I suggest always that you prepare for home ownership.
Okay.
You prepare your credit. You prepare your down payment. If you're going to receive a down payment from a relative, start talking right about now. The holidays are coming along. Start warming up to that aunt or uncle or grandfather and get your down payment. Secure it,
Oh,
Start
relatives out there giving money for home down payments?
It's called the gift.
I love it.
Or if you're going to apply for a grant, start applying for your grant so that when you see something, you're prepared to make an offer and that you know what you can afford. That's very important. And I've spoken many times about this to different people. If you're making, let's say, $9,000 a month, your wife is making $7,000 a month, you look at what you're bringing home, not your gross. But after all expenses, after you pay for the insurance, after you paid your taxes, your state taxes, what are you bringing home? Because that is the money that you're going to use to pay your mortgage, your taxes, and your insurance, and buy food and pay your car note. What's the net check? What does that look like?
And is it about, usually they say it's supposed to be a third of your income should go towards your
approximately a third of your income should go toward your housing expenses.
Your housing expense, whether you're renting or,
and that's part of preparation too, paying down your debt or paying off your debt so that you'll have less bills to pay at the end of the month. Your primary concern would be your mortgage, your taxes, and your insurance.
Got it. So I think when you started also on this journey of real estate, one of the things you were doing was also helping people to change their credit around. So how do you still do that, or what offerings can you give people to help them with their credit? Because like having a good credit score is like having $1 million almost, right?
Absolutely.
We have to protect our credit scores.
Credit is everything.
It's everything.
So the first thing I do is I'll ask someone, send me a copy of your credit report, all right? And then I'll go over it with them. And if there are any nicks or any real issues, we'll address it, okay? And you can't just hope that, well, that was 5 years ago, Gail, so no. It's still living with you. It has to be paid. The worst thing you can do, I'll give a tip, is if you've applied for a mortgage and you pull your credit report and you see that maybe there's an old bill that you haven't paid. It's $500. Maybe it's something that your insurance company should have paid. It fell through the cracks. Your daughter, or your son hurt himself on the football field. You sent them to urgent care, and you thought your insurance company was going to take care of it, and they didn't. Now you've got this $500 bill, that's gone unpaid against you on your credit report. What do? Well, the worst thing to do is to pay it. Do not pay it.
Really?
I'll repeat, do not pay it. Wait to hear from the underwriter. Pay it at the closing.
Got it. Say that one more time. That little scenario. Just say that one more time.
If you have debt and maybe there's a bill it's gone unpaid. And it's been unpaid for 2, 3, 4 years. You didn't know about it. The worst thing you can do is to pay it before you close. Pay it at the closing with the instructions and the approval of the underwriter. This way, it won't, because once you start paying it, it's active again. And that's another thing that's going on. It's a scam that they're going around now. May I talk about that?
You absolutely may.
Maybe 15 years ago, you had a bill. Maybe there was a car. Maybe there was a utility bill or a credit card that you co-signed for and you paid it off. Someone is debt collecting now, and they'll call you and they'll ask your name, and you'll give your name, and they'll ask you. They won't tell you about the bill because you may figure it out that it has been paid. But here's the thing. Once you say, okay, I'll start making payments, I'll send $300 a month on that bill, you've reinstated an old debt. So you got to be very, very careful about that.
Wow, that is powerful. Okay, you do not want to reinstate an old debt by paying a bill that you've already paid for, and then someone calls you, and you suddenly get frantic and think you owe this.
And you create a payment plan, an installment plan verbally. In some states, if you just say verbally, all right, I'll pay you $500 a month, or that is creating a verbal contract on old debt that was already forgiven, and some debt collector just picked it up for maybe like, I don't know, pennies on the dollar, and is trying to collect the full balance from you. So you got to be very, very careful who you speak with over the phone about debt.
Wow. Okay, so who do you talk to about debt? Like I hear organizations or companies all the time, call us to decrease your debt, or if you want to get your credit straight, or who can you trust?
Well, if you owe Visa, and we all know when we have debt, okay, it's not secret when someone's calling you and they're trying to collect. You speak directly with that company. But if you have a company that's calling you and plaguing you, and you know that the debt has been satisfied in the past, then you can call the Consumer Protection Bureau.
Okay.
Okay, and they will have you write up a report, and they will actually call the mortgage company or the credit card company and ask them to prove that, that debt is valid and that it belongs to you and that it hasn't been paid.
Okay, amazing. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about credit, because that's really important. How can people, maybe just one or two active steps, because here on Dreamers, we like to give people some actionable steps that they can really take with information that they can use. So what are maybe 1 or 2 or 3 steps how people can start to repair their credit?
Well, the first thing I would do is I always suggest you pull your credit from. You can go to my free annual credit report.com. I believe that's the website. My free annual credit report.com. And you can pull your credit score from 3 major bureaus and see what is being reported, against you. Maybe your credit is fine. But if it is not, then you have the option of calling up each credit bureau, Experian, for example, and you can say, this credit card or this car note is not mine. I am a junior. It belongs to, my father, or it belongs to my uncle, whatever. You can do that. And they have the reporting agency, that is the company or the car or the credit card company that's reporting this negative information on your report, has 30 days to prove the validity of the debt, that it belongs to you.
Got it. And if the debt does belong to you, what are ways that you can start to repair your credit?
Okay.
Like never, always be within that 30 days, or how can people start repairing it when they have, missed payments, they have, credit damage on their reports? What can they start to do?
If you have credit damage on your report and you're working and you are now in a position to start paying, what you do is you create a schedule of what you can pay each month. Okay. The worst thing you can do is allow a bill collector to call you and say, listen, I need at least $200 or $500 or $600 a month from you to give you an installment plan, because that's going to throw you off if you can't afford it.
That's right.
But what you do is you call each and every debtor, and you say, this is what I'm able to do. Creditor, I'm sorry. This is what I'm able to pay each month. And each month you're going to send out $50 or $25. Listen, here's something interesting about that too. If you would like to purchase a home and you have $25,000, $50,000 worth of student loans, you can't pay these student loans off, but you can get them back on track. You can say, I'm going to pay $150, $250 a month. And that student loan entity that's collecting that payment from you, if they agree, you get it in writing. If you paid it for 12 months to 24 months, even though it isn't paid off, you're still eligible. You're now qualified to buy a home. Your debt doesn't have to be paid off. If you co-signed for your boyfriend, which I don't suggest that you do, but if you were so in love that it fell upon you one day, evening, to co-sign for someone, and that person fell behind in the payments, and now the debt is on you. What you can do is just call that company, make arrangements, and you can start paying that car note off after you've made 12 months, maybe 24 months of on-time payments. Mm-hmm. You're eligible to buy a home or to buy another home. In other words, what credit is really is your past. How have you been regarding your debt in the past? It has nothing to do with what you're going to do in the future. The future has to be proven, you see, and that is what credit is about. They're looking back. What did you do last month? What did you do 6 months ago? What did you do about that car note? And then in the future, now you're in control. If you're making on-time payments, they can look back and say, well, for the last 2 years, he or she's been on time with their payments. The FICO score starts going up every month. 10 points, 20 points.
So you can start repairing. So even the past is the past, right? And they're looking back, but you can create by being present, paying on time.
Exactly.
And it makes a huge difference from what I hear you're saying.
Yes.
If 6 months, a year, and you just keep paying, it starts getting you a great credit history.
Because you're making new history. That's it. Yeah. Exactly.
Amazing. You can get one of those. Yeah, so many people are right now, it's a huge thing about credit, and now with these student loans, that's another issue. There was no loan forgiveness. So now students
that was very disappointing in our industry, because that's holding back a lot of buyers. And right about now, the real estate industry is still strong. However, because of rising interest rates, and the cost of acquisition itself, many would-be first-time home buyers are holding back. Yeah. They're renting. They're trying to save. And it's important, very important to this country, to democracy, I believe, that we have an affordable housing market. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Owning your own property or the freedom to buy and sell property gives you the freedom to create wealth.
That's right. And so with you saying that, I want to read something that I read, that one of your quotes. So, our economic landscape has changed beyond recognition. It is time for Americans to modify and heal our financial systems by investing in real estate with the intent of generational ownership. I love this because I don't think we ever think of healing financial systems. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about that into generational wealth.
Okay. We seem to have this, we're going back and forth with, let's say, interest rates. Every year, every 2 years, we're either on the high side or the low side. And right about now, we're very high. It's still escalating. And there has to be a way of stopping foreclosure. Now, understand, I do realize that if you create a contract to purchase and to pay on a promissory note, that's what a mortgage is, and for some reason you can no longer afford to pay that note, you should sell. If you can modify for a lower rate or better terms, you should do that. And the bank does have the right to take the property back if you can. I understand this. At the same time, we look at the bailouts for corporations in this country. Even during the crash of 2007, 2008, the implosion of the banks, many of these banks and corporations were bailed out. Hardly any homeowners really received any type of help other than maybe loan modifications, and that took years to get on its feet. And that's one reason why I'm not playing politics here, but it's one reason why I really have much respect for Vice President Kamala Harris, because she jumped in there and she created funds, and she got all of the governors of these states that were dealing with these foreclosure bailouts, and she managed to galvanize all of these governors and to create a fund that is still very active to this day to help homeowners. And we need more of that.
That's true.
If you buy a home, you put down 5%, 20%. Well, 20% of $500,000 or $700,000. That's what, $140,000. That's good money. It's good money. You know, if you're buying a home and it's a $2 million home, you and your wife, your family, this is what you want. You know, that's good money. 20%, 30%, 50%. If you're in that property for 5, 7, 8 years, you're paying on time. Suddenly, maybe your wife becomes ill, or maybe your partner becomes ill. You know, and you're behind, or your business is taking a downturn for 6 months, and you just need time to turn it around. Should you lose everything that you worked so hard for? Should there not be some type of program that is a cushion to help you stay in place until you can start generating the income that you're used to having to pay for your bills?
Oh, for sure. I definitely agree with you with some type. And you know what, listen, it's not about politicizing, but it is a political issue.
It is. It is a political and a social issue.
And a social issue.
We're talking about what I'm talking about, and you're talking about dreamers. What I would like to see happen is there be some type of financial corridor, if you will, in the mortgage instrument that would after you've been paying on time for 5, 7, 10 years. If something happens, there's an insurance, and I'm not speaking of hazard insurance, and I'm not speaking of the mortgage premium that protects the bank in case of foreclosure. I'm talking about a corridor for that's a safety net for the homeowner.
Yes.
That's affordable. Maybe it will cost an extra $75 a month, $50 a month. I don't know. That would be for the insurance people to take care of. But yeah, it's we can do it if we really want to. If we can make it more than a dream. We can make a healthier marketplace for mortgages and home ownership.
Thank you so much. You are not done yet. Okay. It's just that we're moving on to another segment.
Okay.
But really, there's so much that we could cover. This is just a part of it. Next time you're going to come back, I hope, and we'll talk about investments.
Okay.
We'll just really focus on that. Today we talked a lot about credit repair and home ownership, but also Worthy, because you gave me some nuggets offline. Gail gave me some great nuggets. So we are going to move on to segment 2. Okay. We have a caller, an audio question for you, and it's a little bit of a surprise for you coming up. So
Okay.
stay tuned with Gail Allen. It's question and answer coming up next. And we are back with Gail Allen, and it is our question and answer segment. Are you ready?
As ready as I can be.
Yeah, well, this is going to be a little bit of a surprise for you. So, take a listen.
Hello, Sherri, and hello, Gail. This is Debbie Keeling-Geddes, and I'm so sorry I can't talk to you guys live today. But when I heard that Sherri was having Gail as a guest, I had to send something in. So, Gail, I lived right around the corner from you on Berry Street. And as a young teenager, I would see you, and knowing that you were an entertainer, that was intriguing to me because I wanted to be an entertainer. I remember seeing you walk in the neighborhood with your grandeur and style, and as an impressionable young person, even though we never talked, you, Randy Ogletree, Rashima Smith, and maybe a couple of others served as part of my blueprint as I dreamed of being in the music industry. And someday I'd love to chat about your experiences in business. But for now, my question is, did the music business help prepare and support you in your current business of real estate? Thanks, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Debbie, I believe I remember you. And thank you for calling in with your question. And boy, what a surprise.
We like to give surprises here at Dreamers.
How did you do that?
Well, that's why we are Dreamers Unite. We unite people.
Yes. So her question is, did the music business help me?
Yeah, how did it help you prepare for this industry that you're in now?
Well, I think I found it very encouraging. One thing about the music business that I love, and it's about what you're doing. It's about the work. It's about sharing, because you can't create a band by yourself, and you can't create a group, and you can't create a recording. You can't even do a jazz gig without having your bass player, without having your pianist, your drummer. You can't really write a good lyric to a play or a musical without having someone there to give you the concept of what's going on in the scene, the actor, what he's trying to portray. So it's one thing about creating in show business is that everyone is important, and everyone is influencing everyone, and everyone is there to support everyone. And so it taught me that we're pretty much more the same than we are different. I was taught how to sell. I was taught how to sell by people who really took me in and decided to show me how to think differently about others. How not to judge someone by the way they look. How not to judge someone by their speech. How you really can't judge a book by its cover, and you can't really tell if an individual can afford a building or they can't. How when I say we are so much alike, when I started doing real estate, I would run into other realtors, and I'm a broker also. I would run into other realtors, other mortgage people who liked what I liked. They loved jazz, or some loved classical music, or some loved salsa. And it just taught me to allow myself to fall in love with different people, different neighborhoods, different foods. So now I can go anywhere and sell property, and I feel comfortable sitting down with people. I think that's what I learned about being in show business, being in the music business, is to share and to care for other people.
That is beautiful. And Deborah Keeling Geddes, what a wonderful question. And thank you so much. I mean, I loved being here. Even I could see off camera, our team was like so inspired by watching Gail's face as she listened to you and talk about, you seeing her as a child. So thank you so much for calling in or submitting your question. And Gail, thank you so much for your answer. Well, you are still not done yet. We have one more segment. Okay. Oh, she's trying to run out the door. No, you're not going anywhere yet.
You got me in the hot seat here.
I got you in the hot seat. It is one more segment. Okay. Can you take it?
Yes, I can.
Okay. We are going to play the Dream Game with Gail Allen. So up next, Dream Game. We are back with Gail Allen, and it has been such a pleasure learning so much about your singing career, learning about what connects people, not only through the music industry, but also to real estate. And you have certainly poured into us so many golden nuggets. And now it is time for us to play the Dream Game.
Okay.
All right, here we go. So your first question is, or my first question is, you talked a little bit about you really wanted to be an illustrator, but do you feel like you're living your childhood dream?
I don't know. I feel sometimes I'm still in my childhood.
I love that.
I wonder, do we ever really grow up? We take on more responsibilities. I understand that. But, I still feel like that young girl that was running around that Debbie spoke of. I still sing, I still write, but I enjoy helping people. As you grow in this world, you realize that you have assignments. I think, it's just my opinion, I think you have assignments in life. And one of my assignments, maybe, it seems to me, is to help those who may be in trouble, or they want to take the next step. And for some reason, that excites me very much. If someone calls me, I have a gentleman, for example, in New York, and he's trying to sell a multi-million-dollar property, and he wants his price. And there's a way that he can get it, but he has to take certain steps. I find that quite challenging. And so I like rising to the occasion.
That is beautiful. So you really are living your childhood dream because you're helping people.
I'm helping people. I'm being creative in the sense that, like, my thoughts always before I accept the challenge is, how are we going to get from A to B to get to where this person needs to be? And if I keep the welfare or the purpose that satisfies that person's need and not my own, then it remains true. Mm-hmm. And I feel good about it. Mm-hmm. If it's something that I'm just doing for myself, then after a while it gets to be a little crappy. It's not so nice.
Well, you're standing in your purpose, and
how about that?
Yeah, you're standing in your purpose and you're living in that. So I think that is a great gift, not only that God gives us, I believe, but also a gift that you give to the world.
Yeah, so, you are the gift to the world.
Yeah, you are the gift to the world. Yeah, for sure. So next question. Yes. Who or what is one of your greatest inspirations?
My mother. Geneva was her name. Oh. I loved my mother.
That's beautiful. I hope my kids will say that too.
My mother believed in being who you are. What I loved about her is that one day I was in high school and I came home and I thought I was really being hit because I had a friend who taught me all of the ethnic slurs that you can ever imagine.
Wow.
And I sat there in the kitchen and I said to my mother, what do you say if someone calls you a name? And she says, Gail, what are you talking about? And I told her. And I told all of the ethnic slurs that I learned from my friend. And she said, you know what, Gail? If you want to have a miserable, unhappy life, she said, start using that language.
Mm.
And I never did.
You never did that
and
again.
I never did. And I'm so happy that I had a mother that was hardworking, you know. She encouraged me to be the best I could be. And when you work your best, well, get some sleep, pray on it. You'll be better tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, in
beautiful.
terms of the world, in terms of singing, Sarah Vaughan, Nancy Wilson, and I adore my cousin Beverly Lee of the Shirelles, because look at what she did. 4 girls from Passaic. They didn't have much in terms of family income and wealth, and they managed to go out into the world and create a group, and they sold millions of records, and they were very encouraging to so many other people in this country, that if you have a dream, you can bring it into fruition by doing.
That's right, taking action. So that's a great segue into this next question, which is, as we have dreams, sometimes it's really hard to stay focused. So how do you eliminate the distractions? And how did you stay focused on your path and on your journey?
And that's a good word, journey, because that's exactly what it is. It's a journey. And sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. So what keeps me strong is I believe that if you feel something that is for you to do, that God will make a way. You will see openings if you listen. And I think sometimes, I included, we just don't listen. God is always speaking to us, but we don't take the time to be quiet enough to hear his voice.
Inside of us. So really faith really helps keep
and staying around positive people like yourself.
Thank you.
Staying around positive people like Sandra DaCosta.
Of course, Sandra DaCosta.
She's very positive.
Yes, she is.
And that's important when you want to work something out, to have someone that you can
right.
speak with and to put you in the right direction or to encourage you. That's very important.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so this dream game is not tough, right? Because we got one last question for you.
Okay.
Maybe it is tougher than I thought it was. Okay. So last question. Yeah. Really, this is a community that, we want to, it's dream, share, and manifest and help really our guests, our community, people listening, and really the world to dream as big as they can.
Right.
So we want to affirm with you, what is your dream now? What's something that we can affirm and claim with you? Because there is power in numbers.
Yes, there is.
Yeah. So what's your dream? What's on the horizon for you?
What is my dream? I'm putting together a team of people that we're going to create and develop affordable housing. And I'm not speaking of houses made out of box boards or cardboard. I'm speaking of making that home affordable, not only in terms of acquisition, but the way it's financed. Right now, there's something called a 50-year mortgage. And you say, who wants a 50-year mortgage? Are you kidding me, Gail? 50 years? I don't know if I'll be. A 50-year mortgage only simply means that the terms are longer. So if the term is longer, your payment is smaller. So if you get in trouble, you get a 50-year mortgage or a 40-year mortgage. And then when you're able to do a 30-year mortgage or a 15-year mortgage, when rates come down, they will, to 4%, 3.5%, maybe if we see that again, Right, that would be nice. Vice President.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. That is my dream: affordable housing, so that because everyone wants it. And so we're looking to go into areas such as Newark, South Jersey. You mentioned Baltimore. We're looking to go into Florida and to create and develop, because there's plenty of land.
That's right.
There's plenty of land. And to create homes that are beautiful to look at, neighborhoods where you have good schools, So that's what I'm looking to do, affordable homes.
That is a beautiful, affordable homes. And not only are they affordable, but they're well built in school systems, community building. I absolutely love
you
it.
can make homes from shipping containers.
Really?
Really, shipping containers. Shipping containers homes are absolutely stunning.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, you take an old $4,500 shipping container, and you put 4 or 5 of them together, and you can have a beautiful deluxe home.
Wow, what a dream there.
You have modular homes.
Yes, modular homes, right?
So there's so much that can be done in terms of being creative with not only how a home is developed or built, but the materials that are used. Mm-hmm. That's important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And here in Bergen County, on the books, there's legislation for accessory dwellings. We have so many families that cannot afford to rent or own property, so they're living with their parents. So right now, they're trying to pass a bill where you can actually take your garage and develop into a tiny home, so that your daughter who came home from college and can't find a job, she can live there.
That is phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's
well, your dream. That's your dream is doable.
I hope so.
It's possible. And one thing about it, Gail, you are determined, you are focused, and you are going to continue to walk your path of helping people. And I just really appreciate you being here. I have caught so many nuggets. I didn't even want to interrupt you a lot of times. Usually dreamers, I know I'm throwing out nuggets and all that, but I couldn't even. I just hope you had your notepads out. I hope you caught some really valuable nuggets from Gail Allen. How can people reach you?
I can be reached at Real Talk Real Estate Matters.
And that's your podcast. That's your podcast.
RealTalkRealEstateMatters.com. You can email me there. You can also email me at RealTalkRealEstateMatters@gmail. Okay.
And are you on social media?
Well, Facebook, or just type in Real Talk Real Estate Matters, and you can hear my podcast. Also with my music, Jazz for Jesus. You can find that on ReverbNation.com/Gail Allen 7.
Amazing. Amazing.
And I've got some recordings there that I've done with my group. They're jazz, and they're jazz for the Lord.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going home today, and I'm getting on Reverb Nation. I'm going to be looking you up.
Okay.
Well, dreamers, I know you want to say, I don't want it to end with Gail. I still have questions to ask. There's so many things I want to learn. Well, you know what? You can find her. We're going to put the description in links in the description. And I just really appreciate you coming, Gail, and spending time with us and help us to dream big, knowing that we can all really be property owners if we want that.
If we want. May I just say one?
Yes, you absolutely may.
Before I leave, if there's someone out there that has property, and I don't care what it is, it could be commercial property, it could be industrial property, or it could be residential property, owner-occupied or investment property. If you find yourself being turned down by your lender for a loan modification and you still want to keep your property, there are ways of doing this without selling your property or selling ownership of your property to anyone. So feel free to reach out to us. We do have attorneys that we work with that can help you. And the way they're paid is only if your property is saved do they charge a fee.
All right. Let me just catch that. Boom. Make sure you reach out to Gail Allen. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, Sherri.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. Well, dreamers, listen, that's it for now, but don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Again, we need your support. It's really important that you subscribe, help us grow our channel, help us grow our dream community, because this, again, is a place where we dream, share, and manifest. So we want to, create this world to be a better place. Now is the time for dreamers to create the world we wish to see, and say too, but to see. I will see you again next time right here in the studio.